what is something non-academic that your PhD has taught? I mean, we sort of discussed this in the previous one as the advantages, but do you have something more to add to this?
I think something that I kind of mentioned it, but I think maybe I will highlight it a bit. Well, something academic is that something during the PhD, especially when you do collaborations, you can also learn very specific techniques that maybe you're the only person in your lab who can, or in the building where you work. Sometimes you can have this is important specifically if you want to continue in academia to learn. There's a technique, depends on your field of study, but you have techniques that a lot of people know, and you have specific techniques. And I think for a lot of careers, you can really, for PhDs, it's if you, for example, flow cytometry or MRI or specific surgery technique that it's not common, but if you learn it well and you master it, that would be a great advantage. So that's academic. The non-academic, the point that I want to highlight is that what helped me specifically, especially during the last year and the last month that were a bit more intense, was that I was really trying to work I wanted to produce a lot at the end, and I was really putting, in a way, pressure for me. But I was able to take, I realized that, okay, this is my thought process. I was the one producing, and I had to produce that. So I had to take good care of myself to produce that, because if I didn't take care of myself, at a few weeks, it would be really, really tough. But if I could take really good care of myself because I was the one who was producing, and if I needed to ask for help for this period of time, I would ask for it, because it would help for the overall result, for the lab, for my PhD, for the articles to be written. So it was a good kind of mental health tip that helped me during the stressful weeks. Like I wanted to not sleep and just work longer, and I also sometimes work a bit better for writing in the night and stuff. But I kind of put a bit of limits, because I said, okay, if I am tired for a week, it's okay. But if I'm tired for 1 year, it's not gonna be okay. So it was a good mental tip that helped me to work to my limit, and then take rest, and then work, and it was a good.
Yeah, it's a good tip. Thanks, because I'm sure we'll need it in the future. Because even this morning when I was doing the other interview with another postdoc, he also mentioned the same thing about taking breaks. And this is a common suggestion that I'm seeing in all these interviews. And even when I talk to my supervisor, they always say that, don't forget to take your breaks, because they are so important for you. It's same as how important sleep is to us in the daily life. It's just how these breaks can make you or break you. So, yeah. Okay, and then who should do a PhD?
What I would say, it's someone who I think one of the key characteristics of PhD students, it's the curiosity. And I think this applies not only for science, but also for, I'm thinking, you have a curiosity to go deeper. I think this is, that you're curious enough to want to know more, and want to not only know more about this, but around it, and try to understand it more. And I think curiosity is really, really important. And with that, and that curiosity, it's what will spark and what will give you also the why to continue doing it when it's tough. But it's kind of the joy of going and saying, it's not that it's not enough, but you have to keep going, and you have to know that you have more and more and more, and you have to make it work. So the curiosity is always going, it's that drive to give you a bit more, whether it's economics, history, it's the passion, I think, comes from the curiosity. So I think this is an important characteristic to have. The other part is someone who has a, in terms of characteristic, it's either the resilience or discipline. Because with the curiosity, it can drive you, and the resilience or the discipline will help you to keep going, and to the days that it's really tough, or that it's not, it's those days that it's tough, and you say it's not, maybe I'm a bit tired, but I will keep it. It's in my discipline to keep going a bit, even if I don't have the passion right now to know. I already read all last night. I don't want to do it, but you say no. But it's when you have a discipline, it helps you to keep going. So I think these are two characteristics in terms of personality. Who else should do a PhD? Yeah, sometimes if you're, as a scientist, for example, if you are really interested in the topic and you want to go further, it's good.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know if this is kind of how you wanted to answer in terms of characteristics, or more.
It's fine with characteristics, I would say. I mean, whatever you said, there's no wrong or right for this, but I would say I would settle for your answers. They are quite, I mean, it's quite really, really helpful. Yeah. I mean, I would also think for somebody who's curious or also motivated. Yeah. But these are some broad categories that we would think that those sort of people should do PhD. Yeah. Okay. And sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. No, that I think sometimes for PhD students, and for a lot of professions too, but I think the PhD is a perfect example of this. You have to give more than what maybe you have to, for example, stay maybe longer hours than other. You don't have a set time, and in terms of even the salary, sometimes you cannot compare the salary to another profession, even if it's a shorter time. So you have to be willing to. You have to know that that you have to give a bit more, and it will at some point it will compensate, and not necessarily monetarily, but your why, your accomplishments will give you what you give. But at a lot of it, you have to give more than maybe that's what's comfortable.
I like your approach on that, because I mean, often it is said that our attitudes they define everything in our lives. So I really like your approach of giving. I mean, not just about taking, because true that in the initial years we have to give more, and in fact we are taking a lot in terms of the experiences, the guidance of our supervisors, which is definitely not free, but it's not quantifiable. We will see the effects of it in the later years. So yeah, true. I really love this approach. It's a new perspective. Yeah. Okay. And then, so what do you do in your free time when you're not in the lab or researching?
I am a outdoor person, so I am always walking with my dog and my boyfriend. I run.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I like being outside, going on hikes,
Yeah, which
and
is necessary when
yeah,
you're like full time in the lab and then you need breaks like these, right?
yeah, and going to the nature is always um, it's very refreshing, and it
Mhm.
changes the everyday. Because a lot of experiments are not repetitive. Well, some of them are repetitive,
Yeah.
but you have to have some consistency, repetition. So
Yeah.
I think even not only for PhDs, but in general, going out to hike, it's or going in nature, going to walk, it's always a good way to pass time. I also um, I have I love talking to my friends, my girlfriends in the phone.
Mhm.
I know a lot of them are I've moved through my life, so I don't have all my friends in the same place. They're scattered through the world, so I love once in a while catching up with my
Mhm.
friends, see how they're doing.
Yeah, that's nice. Even like I mean, going out in the nature is probably the best break. Even I rely on those. Yeah, true. Agree. So, like these are the last few questions, but it's more related to mental health. So, what is your take on mental health and PhD?
It's the most important.
Yeah.
to I think I can attribute my not wh- why I can say a big part of my success in my PhD was I realized before I started my PhD that I had to have the good mental health, and
Mhm.
um, so I think uh, it really helped me throughout.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, because it's hard to just, I mean, just being open out like that, but rather if we know and being aware of that, then that helps us. And we know that we need to focus on that aspect of our life also, and not just that PhD is the only thing in our lives. So,
and
yeah.
something I think you and I have talked about this, but
Mhm.
it's not. It's important to have a good environment with the colleagues in the lab, and
Mhm.
this is super super important. And outside of the lab, your own mental health with friends or family, not
Mhm.
necessarily related to, not related, not tied to your work, to have
Yeah.
that. And also for your own, this is something you and I have talked about. I think
Mhm.
we're both passionate about this, is meditation.
Yeah.
And for example, breathing exercises, yoga, and
Mhm.
this kind of openings of space that we can give our own self, it's they're super important.
Yeah, I agree. You need ways to let out your stress. And I mean, sometimes you not have, maybe not have people around you who might want to, like, I mean, they might be busy in their own things. So you need to find out ways where you can let out your stress by yourself. And I mean, we are social beings and we need to depend on others. That is true, but it is good to know ways to connect within ourselves and to know how to release it by our own ways, not just by depending on others, which is very important. And that's when these methods come very handy. Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah,
bringing that up. I mean, yeah, we've hardly discussed about these on the videos, but I really appreciate your answer on this. Yeah, and I hope.
and
Yeah. Sorry, no, go
it's
ahead.
I think in the world we live now,
Mhm.
It's such a fast-paced world, and just with the technology, social media, we receive information like this. With a PhD, you're also taking in a lot of information, especially at the beginning. You have to learn a lot of things. You have to read. You're taking up a lot of. You're receiving a lot. So I think
Stimulation. Yeah.
like something like meditation, it can help you kind of keep yourself centered, keep your thoughts clear, can make you help you make better decisions. And yeah, it's not only for the PhD, but I think in general during the PhD, especially at the beginning, I think it's really important enough for all the information, and after to make decisions. I think the better you are centered, and yeah, it's helpful. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Once in a while, it gets stuck. So. Okay. And so, how does PhD affect your personal life, the private personal life?
um it's not it's it's tough. But
Yeah, it
it's
is.
also uh you have to I so this is um I think that you kind of during the PhD, it's important to know to choose, um, because a PhD will absorb a lot of time and energy. You have to, and it can change, but you have to start choosing, I think, two or three aspects of your personal life that you will also take, give your energy and attention to, along with a PhD. So I think making that decision um, will help, because the PhD is really absorbent. And it's also very, I think something that really helps, for example, is talking with other PhD students when you are um, kind of want to complain a bit, or just want to um, that part of it. I think it's really good that you're not alone. It makes you feel that you're not alone to talk to other who are also going through the process. And after that, uh, I remember I also, for example, I for me, I personally said, okay, I cannot have like, you cannot have like a full life and then a full PhD life. It's not, it's exhausting that way. But I choose two or three things that I were important for me, and then yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And the more I talk to others, the I'm more I mean, strongly thinking about this aspect that discussing this with other PhD students is so important, because then we know that we are undergoing the same process, and then we are sharing with each other what our problems are, and that process really helps. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
And those
reinforcing, sort of like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
and
Yeah.
sorry, I just want to uh, for example, for me, my friendships, not necessarily academic, but my overall friendships are very important. But a lot of times I couldn't keep them up as I would have liked. I did give them, of course, I did give them time, and they're important for me. But sometimes it was the after I'm working on a Saturday, one of my other colleagues was also working on Saturday, so we went for lunch together. And maybe I couldn't schedule that with my other friends, but in the lab you also find that there's other people working maybe the crazy times that you're working, or so yeah, it's not necessary that you can keep everything, but you find that if friendships are important for you, you can
Mhm.
find them inside the lab, outside the lab, and yeah.
True. Yeah. And so this is the last question for the interview. So, what is one message that you want to share with the people who are listening to this video and tuning in? Yeah.
I think one topic that's been like, I think overall throughout the interview is to I think if you want to do a PhD, if you have that curiosity, you can do it. I think someone who has the curiosity and the drive, even if it seems tough, they can do it. There's a lot of resources that are not necessarily talked about, but if you want to do it, I think you can. It's and while it presents a mental health challenge because of the hard work, the pressure, different things, it also it makes you get stronger. And I think it's if you're curious to do a PhD, talk to people, and there's always help. I think this is important, and not, well, if the PhD is individual, you also can have a lot of support from a lot of people. I heard once that specifically a lot of times women mentors can also not can women who are mentoring each other are very important support for women in science, and men support too. But it's important to find what you need and ask for it, and it's a good adventure.
Yeah, indeed. I'm at the beginning of it, so still can't say much, but definitely, I mean, I'm sure I can rely on your words. So, yeah, that's quite about it for the interview. And thank you so much for sharing. And I did take away a lot of messages from this. And yeah, the answers were quite insightful, especially the part of giving more and not expecting much, but also like working hard and having a, curiosity and having that drive to, work, to do something, to achieve something. So yeah, it's always nice to speak to you.
Same here. I love talking
Yeah.
to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
And thank you for doing this. It's amazing.
Thank you. I mean, thanks for being the part of this, because then it's just a two-way thing. So yeah.